Dr. Umar Karim, welcome. And how you see it from outside? And we know you follow also Turkey and Pakistan. You can also give us some comparison, maybe. Welcome. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much for inviting me here and giving me the platform. I mean, I think what I have been hearing here is quite knowledgeable for me as well, because I just got a lot of information on how the electoral process is conducted within Turkey, and definitely it's from my understanding, it's a very mature electoral process, and much better, smoother, and transparent than ours in Pakistan. So I think, and also with regards to turnout, the Turkish people.
Dr. Omar, just before, don't forget
Sure.
what you say. Just a reminder, in 19, when there was a soft coup against Erdoğan and Tansu Çiller, Süleyman Demirel, he gave Pakistan as an example. He said, I wish I had the power as a president to dissolve the parliament. And he was, of course, he was admiring in a way, like the Pakistan system that time.
I think that system in Pakistan was still better than the current one, and there was some checks and balances, but right now it's a different story. In any case, I have been following, of course, in the UK and in broader Western sphere. I think that in the last election I was following the Western press, and more or less the headlines we now see, they are the same. So this gives us an idea. I mean, okay, headlines are one thing, but this gives us an idea that most Western nations, political elites and states, they definitely, and I think the most participants and speakers here, they are quite aware of this, that they definitely will be more comfortable with different government in Turkey. And in a way, this is typical Western agenda, where they cannot tolerate strong and more, you can say, autonomous and governments from the global south or countries at the margins. And I think this is why probably the Western governments and Western elites and Western media circles think that a change in Turkey or the success of Turkish opposition in the upcoming election will be better for them. I think also probably there is an understanding within the EU context that victory of Turkish opposition and CHP probably will lead to an improvement in the Turkish-European relationship. Probably they also think that we will have a relationship where a client-patron sort of dynamic will emerge, which right now is, of course, not there as we see it. On the other side, I think other regional countries, most countries in the Middle East, probably, although now Turkey's relationship with Middle Eastern states, they have recovered, and there is quite a bit of the rapprochement has progressed well. But I think for different reasons, ideological reasons, probably other than countries like Qatar, most Middle Eastern or Gulf countries would be more inclined towards political change in Turkey because of obvious political reasons, and I think some of the reasons of the current governments or President Erdoğan's is just like in Europe, they are same. With regards to the Middle East. One other observation, I mean, I'm an outsider, probably all speakers here would have a better view on this, is that When it comes to, of course, as the speakers before me, they touched upon this, that Turkey is now a global actor. It is not a EU-centric actor or a Balkan-centric actor or an actor which is just relevant to the Turkic world. It's an actor which is very much present and active in Africa, in Middle East, in Southeast Asia, in Latin America, and in many parts of Europe, not specific parts of Europe, in the Middle East, of course, in the Caucasus, in Central Asia. And we do see that in terms of policy building, in terms of policy initiatives, policy infrastructure, there is a lot of, AKP has done a lot of work during its government, and there are different centers, as Orsam is a good example, Aram is a good example, and many others, which are working and doing amazing policy work, policy recommendations, and knowledge building with regards to these different regions. But when I think about the Turkish opposition, I have not seen any similar interest from the likes of course, CHP is the major or bigger party, and yeah, they do have Mr. Davutoglu within their ranks, but I have not seen such specific policy-oriented ideas, schemes as how would they approach this newer Turkey if they are voted into power by the Turkish public. So what I think that again their emphasis or focus probably would be on Europe and all other regions which have now become very important because of AKP party's foreign policy activism, and which has turned eventually Turkey into a global player. Probably they will be neglected. And on the other hand, I mean, this is something which I can say openly as an outsider, that no matter who is voted in, if President Erdoğan doesn't win the election, Turkey would probably lose its biggest brand across the world. I mean, whether people like him, even in European context, whether people like him or not, he is a person with a unique charisma, with a unique presence on the global stage. And in the global south, in Africa, in the Muslim countries, you can say it without any doubt that he commands an amazing presence and amazing popularity. And who will then replace him? I mean, will that person be able to achieve such sort of popularity, such sort of charisma? I mean, of course, these are the things probably which may not be much relevant for the Turkish people. Probably economic issues and financial situation is more close to them when they go for votes. But for outsiders, from a Turkish foreign policy observer, I think these would be really important changes if the opposition is to win the election. But in any case, I think the will and the will of people wins, and this is the beauty of Turkish democracy, that regardless of all the negative publicity and the hype, we are again going into an election, and the opposition is going into the election. So if they are going into the election,
Imran Khan is forcing the early elections. Is it going to happen, or you want it on time in Pakistan?
I think with the Pakistani case, whenever the election will happen, Imran Khan will win. So there is only a question whether it will happen earlier or whether it will happen in October. But even October is now not far away. And with the current situation of economy, inflation, etc., the government is in a pretty bad situation. The elections for the two bigger provinces will be held probably by April or May. And so these provinces basically have a joint population which is much which is even bigger than Turkey. So there is a chance that probably we'll have a general election rather than only election for these two provinces. But I think that right now, in the current political dynamics, there are more chances of Imran Khan's victory as compared to the opposition.